Today on the newscast, we've got an update on those two Iranian warships that are docked in Brazil. Israel and a U.S. senator are slamming the Brazilian government. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Erick Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. We've got an update for you on that story we first reported on this Tuesday, February 28th, about two Iranian warships docking in Brazil. Now, in case you missed Tuesday's newscast, just go to our homepage here on the channel. It is under the newscast category, and you will find it there. And while you are there, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, this is important because the mainstream media is largely ignoring this very important story, but we are bringing it to you right here on the Watchman News channel. So hey, join us, be a subscriber for such a time as this. It's not a very pleasant time between Israel and Brazil right now. Israel today, the foreign ministry, slamming the Brazilian government over its decision to allow two Iranian warships to dock in the port of Rio De Janiero. We'll break that down in a minute. Before I do, in case you missed Tuesday's newscast, again, just a little bit of backdrop to this story. These two Iranian warships arrived in the port of Rio de Janeiro this past Sunday, February 26th. They were authorized by the Brazilian government to dock there. Now, they are cleared to dock there until March 4th, this Saturday. Where they'll go after that, it's unclear. Perhaps the Iranian warships will make a port of call in Venezuela and then head on through the Panama Canal. Venezuela makes sense, of course, because Iran and Venezuela have a very close relationship. And an Iranian general declared last month that by the end of this year, 2023, Iranian warships would indeed sail through the Panama Canal and reach the Pacific Ocean for the first time. So for now, they are in Brazil, but who knows where they will go next. This decision by Lula da Silva, Brazil's new leftist prime minister, he was sworn in on January 1st after previously serving as Brazil's president a few years back. He then did prison time. He was released from prison 3 years ago, and now voila, he is Brazil's president once again. Now, he authorized these warships to dock, but back in January, about a month ago, when we first reported about this possibility here on the newscast, he was on his way, Lula, to Washington, D.C. to meet with Joe Biden, and at the urging of the Biden administration, he denied the Iranian request at that time to dock in Rio. But then he returned from Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden Lula changed his tune and then turned around despite more urgings from the U.S. to not allow it. He nonetheless allowed these Iranian warships to dock in his country. Now, the U.S. is none too happy about this. Neither is Israel, which should be no surprise. Now, they first docked there on Sunday, but today, the Israeli foreign minister, a spokesman there, made a statement calling Brazil's decision to allow two Iranian warships to dock here in the Western Hemisphere in South America. Israel called it, quote, a dangerous and regretful decision on the part of the new government of Lula da Silva. And the Israeli Foreign Ministry also said there is still time to tell these Iranian warships to leave. Brazil can say you must leave our port now. But folks, although Israel would like to see that, and that's what the statement said, that's not what's going to happen. They're authorized to stay through March 4th. Perhaps they'll stay longer. We don't know. Perhaps, as I mentioned, Venezuela, Panama Canal, we don't know where these ships are headed. Now, at the end of the day here, Lula's moves to allow these Iranian warships should really come as no surprise, folks, in my opinion, and based on his track record during his last go-round as president. He met with, for instance, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the notorious former Iranian president, a genocidal Holocaust denier and Israel hater. Lula met with him and took great pains to improve Brazil's relationship with the Iranian regime. And this also fits with a trend, a troubling trend in Latin America, where you've got now Brazil, which, folks, again, don't discount Brazil, one of the world's most populous countries. It is the most populous country in South America, over 200 million people. That makes up more than half of the entire population of that continent. Not only that, the largest in terms of land mass. So Brazil is a player, no doubt. It's also a member of this BRICS, B-R-I-C-S group, the 5 fastest growing and emerging economies, which many believe will be the largest economies and most influential economies in the world one day. That includes BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So all that to say, Brazil is certainly a player on the world stage. So it's troubling to see this turn by the Brazilian government. Not only that, I mentioned a trend in Latin America. You've got obviously Nicaragua, you've got Cuba, you've got Venezuela, most of all very Iran friendly. And now you have leftist governments in Chile and Colombia as well. And this is not far from America's doorstep. I said the other day that Iranian warships are at America's doorstep. I caught some flack from that from some commenters, but look, at the end of the day, it's not Cuba. It's not 90 miles off America's coast, of course, but if you're an American like me, Brazil is still too close for comfort in terms of having Iranian warships there. It's in our hemisphere, so maybe not at America's exact doorstep, but close enough to be a real problem potentially. Lula has not made a comment in response to the Israeli remarks today. But we also have a U.S. Senator now getting into the act. Yesterday, Wednesday, March 1st, Senator Ted Cruz, the Texas Republican, called on the Biden administration to sanction Brazil over this move. He said this is a decision by Brazil which endangers the security and the safety of Americans to allow, look, at the end of the day, Iran is identified by the United States as the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism. Not the Iranian people, the Iranian regime. Key distinction there, and one reason this is such a terror-inciting and promoting regime is because of what it does to its own people. Right now, the Iranian people still, don't forget about them, folks, lift them up in prayer. They are still in the streets protesting this wicked regime, and they're being met with relentless persecution, imprisonment, torture, even death at the hands of the mullahs in Tehran. So that's one reason this regime, not the Iranian people, their leadership, so-called leadership, are listed as the world's #1 state sponsor of terrorism. And when it comes to the Iranian military and warships, there are clearly ties to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC for short, that elite vanguard of the Iranian regime, which is identified by the U.S. as a terrorist organization. So needless to say, yes, the U.S. is concerned about this Iranian terror presence in the Western Hemisphere. Cruz called for sanctions and called for the Biden administration to review Brazil's cooperation with the U.S. when it comes to counterterrorism measures. It's doubtful that the Biden administration will do that. They want to have a strong relationship with this new Brazilian government, but you have to see this as a slap in the face by Lula to the White House, no doubt. After persistent urging by the Biden administration, he still goes and hosts these Iranian warships, and hosted by the Iranian regime, or sent, I should say, by the Iranian regime, a regime which leads chants of death to America and refers to the United States as the Great Satan. So America's not too pleased, the United States. Israel's not too pleased with Brazil right now. We will see where all of this goes. We talked on that newscast on Tuesday about Iran's efforts to gain a presence throughout Latin America. One thing I didn't mention on Tuesday that I will mention today as we close is the tri-border region of South America. Now, that is a lawless zone where Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay meet. And for years, again, Iran is not a new kid on the block when it comes to South America. For years, Iran's top proxy, Hezbollah, has had a strong presence in that tri-border region. It's involved in the drug trade there. It takes that illicit drug money. It ships it back to its home base of Lebanon to fund terror operations. So many troubling things happening right now, not far from America's doorstep, and developments that Israel is not happy about either. By the same token, to end with some encouragement here, Israel has made great inroads in Latin America as well. Countries like Honduras and Guatemala moving their embassies to Jerusalem. The evangelical Christian population throughout South America is exploding, and Central America, by leaps and bounds. Many large, vibrant, pro-Israel churches in Latin America. But these left-wing governments are not Israel-friendly, so we will keep a very close eye on that developing situation. Hey, folks, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Watchman Newscast. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.